Welcome to the DJ Insider Podcast, sponsored by Amplified Events.
It's the only podcast where we break down insider information from our weddings, experience, and advice from over 15 years in the wedding industry.
We're your hosts. I'm Mike Kane, owner of Amplified Events.
And I'm Joe Albomonte, the general manager of Amplified Events.
Let's get into it. Well, welcome back.
We're back.
We're back.
Welcome.
Today we have some very special guests in the studio. We have Joe Christian, owner of Arrested Sounds, and Ava Christian, owner of Sweet Lenz photo booth company. Is that right? Awesome. And you guys are father and daughter. So that's
sometimes.
So you're getting into the wedding industry. How did that come about? How did Sweet Lenz kind of give me some of the origin story about how that got started?
So basically, it was kind of random, honestly. Like, I had been working with my dad's company for a while, and then one day he was kind of just shooting out ideas and was like, hey, like, what do you think about starting a photo booth company? Because I had prior experience with it at weddings and stuff, but nothing major. And since I'm going to school for marketing, which is kind of in that same realm of stuff, I was like, yeah, let's start talking about that. And then it kind of just spiraled from there into our company.
So you worked some events for your dad, and then you're like, hey, let's do a photo booth company, especially because it's kind of naturally already interest in marketing, and hence we have a Sweet Lenz photo booth company. Did you guys have an event recently? I thought I saw something. Did you guys do a photo booth?
Running Vines, it was actually the first official event. Running Vines had their Roaring 20s party.
Oh, nice.
Cool. And so we were DJing there for it, and the owner, Nikki Kaler, who's amazing, threw the idea out to her, and she was like, absolutely, be a great addition. There we go. That was official number one.
First gig in the books.
Congratulations.
Very cool.
Absolutely.
Anything highlights from that gig that you noticed from photo booth or DJ, any of that?
Looking at all of the gallery of all of the photos from the night, it seems like people really enjoyed it, and everyone's costumes were very fun, so it was good to look at, and I think it went well.
Nice. Do you do the props in the backdrop, or is it just the booth, or what's it kind of look like?
For that one, it was just the digital, so we didn't have props, and it was
Nice.
just the booth, and they actually had their own backdrop,
Cool.
so it kind of just all went together, and it was good.
I always love when they do their own backdrop. It always fits the theme so well, too, like especially around the holidays and like a Roaring 20s party. It
that's
looked perfect.
really nice. There was like almost mirror balls in the back, and it was like gold, and it looked really good.
Nice. Very cool.
And as we know, it's one less thing that we have to set up and tear down.
Exactly.
Yes.
That definitely helps us.
Makes it a lot easier. Were there any challenges associated with that gig? Anything that you were like, oh man, this is a little bit challenging?
Because I had never set up there, I didn't really know where things like the outlets were, because they're kind of, usually you think, oh, an outlet's in the bottom of a wall, but it was up in this weird corner, and there was a bunch of different things that we had to do to make sure that it was secure, so that was a little bit of a challenge, but we were able to figure it out. And then also the floor is a little bit not level, so we had to use some handy dandy duct tape to fix it, but again, we figured it out, so it was just like those little things.
I love that. There's always like behind the scenes stuff when any kind of events that comes up with that. Like, oh, we have to get some extension cords, so we need some tape, and that's always fun to kind of figure out. So it is photo booth, but do you offer any different types of photo booths? Like, can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so we offer a digital photo booth, and then we also offer a printing photo booth. And so with digital, you get the basic setup of the salsa photo booth, and then you get photo options like boomerangs and different filters and stuff like that. And that is also encompassed into the printing photo booth, but then with printing, you obviously get the prints that are customizable. And then we also, with printing, we do props, whereas with digital, it doesn't come with props. You can do the add-on, but it's just a little bit less likely for people to do props since we're not actually there, because for printing, we always have somebody on site. So there's a little bit of differentiation, but I think both are a good option.
Nice. And so are they both open air or closed, or?
Yeah, both of ours are very open air. They're not constricting at all. You can honestly fit a really big group of people in both kinds, because it's just tap it and it's in front of you, so the whole back is just open and you can fit a lot of people one shot.
And you said so they do different kinds of images. It's not just photos.
Yeah, no, you can do different filters, and then boomerangs, which is like the moving kind of video photo, and then the GIFs, which is same thing. And so there's those different options.
What do you like about working with photo booths, working, in a company? What are some things that you enjoy about doing that?
I really like just like the party atmosphere, because I had a different job before, and it's obviously not as fun as when I was there, because when you're doing photo booth, it's always at some type of event, which I love working at events. I think it's just like interacting with people is so much fun, and the atmosphere is always really, really fun. So I really like that aspect of it, of just the different atmosphere, and then just getting to give people tangible memories that they can look back on is really fun too.
Yeah, I love the energy that is like, there's this, we're out, we're having fun, we're making some memories, we're taking photos. I kind of love that too about working in events and stuff. What are some things that you find challenging about working with events and working the photo booth, that kind of thing?
I feel like the biggest challenge is always not knowing the setup, because each venue is different, and so you're kind of pre-planning of, well, what if I need this, or what if I need this, to fulfill the space and make sure that everything is where it needs to be and can run properly. So that's probably the biggest, of like venue, and then just worrying for future things. So it's like, if it's digital, I just set it up and then I'll come back at a later time to break down, so I'm not there 24/7. So it's just the pre-planning of, well, if this goes wrong, what can we do? And if this, make sure this is secure, because if this breaks, I won't, or not breaks, but if this malfunctions, I won't be there. So it's just like the what ifs and trying to kind of foresee the future, which is difficult sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. That's tough about planning events, and it's like, we have to go set up. We got to be there at this time. I have to get a little extra time just in case there's some travel delay or there's difficulty with the setup. And that really is working in events. Do you find something similar in kind of the way you do things, Joe?
Yeah, I mean, it's normally, what's the saying? First one to arrive, last one to leave, type of thing. So, on the DJ, and Ava has done actually, she is our number one across the board. Everybody agrees, our number one assistant for weddings. So,
Nice.
so she, on that end, she's learned, proper setup and having enough time, and just taping everything down, like the normal safety stuff. So, going into the photo booth end, like for the Running Vines event, we were there an hour early. Well, it takes like 15 minutes to set that up. So it's always better to be early than late. So yeah,
I find especially with printing, it's always better to be there early too. Like it can work instantly. It can be finicky. It can be somewhere in between, but printing is always a surprise for me that day.
Yeah, we're still working the printing end, because it's not something we've been doing through Arrested Sounds. We've been doing photo booths now for 3 years. So it was an easy transfer over. It was just ordering, actually more booths and then going into the printing realm, because we didn't do any printing, for our end, because I didn't want to. Yeah. But obviously going in and opening a whole separate company, printing's got to be an option.
For sure.
So,
photo booth company.
Yeah. So the printing thing is new, even for me. So, Ava, one thing about her is she is extremely self-motivated. So I don't have to like, hey, you need to do. I usually just get an eye roll and, yes, I know, I'm taking care of it. So, which is good.
Yeah.
It's good. It's good to have a child that's self-motivated and a step ahead on things. Especially for an actual functioning business where we're quite a bit of capital in right now, and our goal this year is literally just to be green by the end of the year. So yeah, we've got all those numbers worked out, and I think we got the last bit of stuff ordered last night, just some backdrops that, you know, was like, okay, we need a couple additional backdrops. And then we will be at Bride Blue, not next week and weekend after.
Nice.
So needed just a little bit of more, you know, handout stuff for that.
I saw you guys were at the Northwest Indiana Wedding Expo yesterday.
Yeah, so
How did that go?
We were there, you know, obviously on the Arrested Sounds end, but Ava was there, and I had one of my guys there, John Z, who is a phenomenal salesman. So that's what he does in his full-time job, is he's in sales. So a great guy to have at an event like that. But we both agreed having Ava there made it so much better, because the girls are much more willing to come up and approach to talk to somebody their own age.
Yeah. Makes sense.
And then, you know, of course, her personality works really well in that environment. So, yeah, she just went to the top of the list as far as shows are concerned. But it was a really good show this year.
Good. Good turnout, good conversations.
Good turnout, good quality leads. So, yeah, I was happy. Last year was good too, but this year seemed to be even a little bit better. And, you know, it was just good people asking legitimate questions, so you knew, you know, they were quality leads versus, you know, just collecting some flyers or looking for the free stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I only actually came across one of those type of persons yesterday looking for free stuff. And normally that's not the case. Like, normally there's a decent amount. So it was good.
Was that your first bridal show doing?
Mm-hmm.
What was that like for you on your end? Brand new to a bridal show kind of thing?
Yeah, to be honest, I was a little bit nervous because I had never done that before, so I kind of didn't know what to expect. So then when we got there, I kind of just looked around and familiarized myself with it, and I was just communicating with my dad and the other guy, John Z, and kind of just learning from them as we went on with the day. So it started off a little bit, I was a little timid to go up to people, but by the end of it, I was having really good conversations with people who were potentially interested. So I think it went well.
Nice. What's it like working with your dad? What's the good, the bad, the ugly?
Yeah, right now she's smiling, so we're gonna get a good answer.
We can do the pros and the cons, right? The challenges
Yeah.
and the
I don't know. Honestly, it depends on the day, because like we're very similar in a way, but then we're also very different. So at times our personalities can conflict, but then at other times we could work very well together. So honestly, it just depends on what we're doing and like when it is. But I think I like it because obviously I live with him. So if I need something or I have any concerns about anything, I can just go downstairs and ask or do what I need to do. Whereas if I didn't live with him, or if it wasn't my dad, then I would probably have a harder time communicating those concerns. So us being in the same house makes it a lot easier. And also just having that familiar face in terms of going to that event yesterday, if I was with somebody that was just my boss and that was it, I probably wouldn't be as comfortable as I was when I was working with my dad.
Yeah. Well, that's so cool that you can, it's like you work with someone that you live with, but you're able to rely on his pool of knowledge and his expertise and his experience and ask him questions as you're also figuring out this road yourself as a business owner and running this. That's a big thing, running a new business and learning like, okay, well, I have to do sales, I have to do marketing, I have to do, maybe train a staff. I definitely have to learn the technical aspect of this job. It's wearing a lot of hats.
Yeah.
Is there a part of running this thing that you've really enjoyed, that's really has been fun for you?
I have really enjoyed getting to create my own kind of like my posts for social media and
Sure.
on the marketing end. I enjoy making my own thing because I don't like when I'll make something for whatever it is, and then if I have to show it to somebody who say I was making that for them, they could be like, oh, I don't like this, or oh, I don't like this, can you change this? And I'm fine with that, but when you're making it for yourself, you can just do that and it makes everything go smoothly.
Yeah.
So I like getting to make my own thing and just making what I like to make instead of making something that I have to make.
Yeah.
And also, most of my posting is everything is pink and girly and very like my style, which is what I prefer.
Yeah.
So I like getting to make everything look a certain way of what I would want it to look like.
Yeah, that's part of the brand.
Yeah.
Part of the brand you're building and establishing.
That was explaining like everything has to function off of the initial thing, which is the logo. So I tried to stay like completely hands off on really any of that because I wanted it to be hers with zero influence from me, even on the name.
Yeah.
And luckily, her sister is an artist, so they put their melons together and got basically came up with the logo. And I mean, it didn't really matter to me what it looked like as long as they were happy with it. I mean, it did.
It had to look good.
Yeah, it had to look professional.
Yeah.
But there was no concern on my end on that because between the two of them, they understand that end, and her sister Allie is a perfectionist when it comes to things. So I knew it was gonna be good. And Ava she spent what was it a full year, basically a full year, interning at Northwest Indiana Forum, which is basically a business like seeking, like I don't exactly.
Yeah,
know.
they aim to bring businesses into Northwest Indiana and just make more businesses want to come here versus somewhere else.
So she spent a lot of time, in the business land, and the owner of that, or is she the owner? Is she the owner? Okay. Heather Ennis took her under her wing, and Heather's fantastic. So she learned a great deal of, just stuff that you're not going to get going to school, with hands-on, and did actually kept her longer than the initial intent was of the internship because she was doing such a good job. So, and took her to quite a few of the, like the meet and greet things and
Like luncheons and stuff like that.
so it was a good. Now, Ava was like, it's really just old men at all of these things.
Yeah.
Like, well, I mean,
We need more young women.
Yeah.
Not young women entrepreneurs, business owners.
So that's what I told her. I said, well, I mean, you can start changing that.
She is. That's the coolest thing is that, you're already doing that.
So yeah, she's done a great job with even like the web stuff. And I tend to be just give it to me. And she's the first one to slap my hand and go, no. I have it. Leave me alone.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah. You need the space to create,
Mhm.
and if, it sounds like if you have a question, you'll reach out, Yeah. Running a new business, there's a lot of moving parts. And what are the parts that you've found that are like, oh, this is work. I don't like this part of running a business. This is the work part.
Honestly, a lot of aspects that I'm still learning. Like, I think just making sure everything is in order, because I'm very organized, and I like to make lists, and I like to have everything in a spot so that if I need to come back later, I can easily know what I was talking about. So making sure everything's organized is a difficult task in terms of calendars and just things that I need to get done, and like things that need to be ordered, and making sure everything gets done when it needs to get done is something that is not the most fun, but is very important. I don't even know. I don't have any specifics, but
That's a great example. Yeah.
yeah, making sure everything's in order is very important.
Yeah. When I always say, like, running your own business is the greatest because you get to be your own boss. And it's also the worst because you get to be your own boss. Like, nobody's going to, kick my butt, get me out of bed, make me go in and be productive that day except me. If I don't respond to that email about the sales inquiry, I'm not going to get that sale, and so the motivation that's hard. You have to keep going versus when you're working at someone else's business or someone else's job, you're worried about getting fired, and so they're going to be on you and they're going to help you stay organized because if it costs them money, they want to make sure. But I have the opposite problem now. Running my own business is like I have to keep everyone else organized, and I'm not the most organized person, so they're not going to be more organized than me. So that's always a challenge on my part, doing things. As you're talking to people and couples looking to book photo booth, do you notice any like patterns or things that kind of commonly asked questions that come up? And basically, do you have any advice for people looking to get a photo booth? Things that you'd recommend that they look at or things to avoid, that kind of thing.
In terms of questions, I feel like maybe like yesterday, the most common question was what types we have, because there's so many different ones out there. So what types we have was probably the most asked question. And for anyone looking, I feel like it's very important to make sure that you read the packages of who has what, of what is most important to you, and looking at just everything that correlates with what type of booth you want, because that kind of is what you're going to get. So making sure that you know what you want, what you don't want, because a lot of places I feel like have a lot of extra things that you can do, and so it's important to know what you're looking for and then what you just don't want at all, because then you're not going to get something that you don't like.
Yeah, so have your priorities organized.
Yes.
Know what you want, go in with that. Where do you guys stand on props? Do you provide props? Do you not provide props?
That's a good question, Mike. I'll let Ava answer.
So
I don't want to get my hand slapped again.
we're still kind of figuring out that realm of what we want to do, but we are definitely going to provide props for our printing booth, just because, one, there's going to be an on-site person there the whole time, so that can be managed. And then we're probably thinking just the handheld props or the signs or the sticks with like lips on it, or just all of the handheld props that can be properly kind of sanitized. Because
So no feather boas,
no,
aviator, big giant aviators. None of
as
that.
much as we like the idea of those aren't the most practical, because in the long run they can tend to get gross or
And they break the easiest. They're the
Yeah.
messiest. Like the feather boas
I think
get shredded.
I think it's gross.
Hard.
Like,
People steal them too.
Yeah.
You know?
so like what our answer on that with sales stuff is, here's what we're providing. If you want to add to that, most certainly can, and we'll manage, the collection of it, and making sure that everything stays there. But at the end of the night, all of your stuff is going to stay there, and whether you collect it or not is totally on you. Our props, obviously, we will take it with us.
Yeah, we used to do the prop signs with like the word bubbles and all kind of wedding related stuff.
Yeah.
Or like hashtag love or that kind of stuff. But yeah, same thing, especially because it was kind of during COVID when we really got started with photo booth, that, I was like, we have to have something that we can clean, that's going to be hygienic. And so, we've always kind of avoided that ourselves when we did photo booth. And I recommend, people are going to steal it. It's going to get destroyed. You might as well buy it.
Take them.
Yeah, have the couple buy it one time and then give it away. Encourage people to take it.
Yeah, sometimes not even intentionally too. Like they'll just walk away and leave them on their table, and you'll walk around at the end of the night and find 5.
Sure.
It's really just, it's more things to track and take care of.
And I'm not going to sit here and say that I've never walked away from a photo booth with a hat or a pair of glasses. Intentionally.
I'm going to the dance floor with his
Monopoly
hat
man
on.
monitor.
And then, the person tapping on my back like, hey, Bozo, we need that back. And it's like, oh, okay.
Let me finish my dance.
Yeah.
One second.
Here you
Almost
go.
done cha-chaing. I'll give it back.
Do you think there's anything that people commonly kind of overlook that they really should know when they're looking to book a photo booth, stuff that gets missed, or that you got to know this is important?
I think maybe overlooking the types of things that the photo booth can do, because some people think, it's just a photo and then you're done. But with all of our different filters and settings, there's a lot of things that you can do that are very interactive with the photo booth. So I think just don't overlook the different things that it's capable of, because it can do so much more than just take a photo.
Like GIFs, boomerangs, things like that. Yeah.
We even like the
That's
overlay. So, obviously you guys are doing the same thing with overlays. And then, some of the glasses, like the
mask
all that
things,
stuff will pop up. I did in December for a school. It was a staff party off school. It actually got really crazy. Teachers definitely know how to have a lot of fun.
Let loose.
When they're not teaching.
Yeah. So, great, just an amazing group to work with. But there was, because it was, Christmas time, you had Santa Claus that would go overlay over your face and you could look like an elf and then like all sorts of different things. And I'm telling you, those teachers were like, it was like they were in first grade all over again. With that. Like they had so much fun with that small aspect of the actual photo booth itself. So yeah, it's to have some of those options, and like in our sales meetings where we explain that to people, like, hey, there are these options, and some have said like, our people aren't going to want to have that.
Yeah.
It doesn't cost anymore. And some are like, yeah, sure, leave them on. And you can almost see like in the gallery when somebody realizes, wait a minute, there's these things that you can do. And then after that, like everybody.
You see everybody
It's
doing
like
it.
as soon as you see the first boomerang in there's 100 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, or if somebody has used that type of booth before,
Yeah.
they know up front. There's a reason that, and you guys use the same style of booth that I started with was the salsa. In fact, Mike is I thank him. He's the one that recommended the salsa booth because of what it was. And the first one that I bought, I was like, ooh, this is pretty cool. And, it's been a great add-on for weddings. And that's really, in my mind where it was like, okay, hey, I think you would do well with this. What do you think? Because it has been such a great add-on for us. And
Really
I've had,
is.
as people knew that we started doing, or that, I had photo booth as an option, I started getting exterior inquiries about doing photo booths. And I was like, I'm just keeping it all wedding based because it's just easier right now. I don't need any more. I don't need any more business to deal with.
Yeah, for sure.
Which is, bad because you leave money on the table. But
With those old booths too, like they were really heavy, like the old ones that you would cart into weddings. You'd have to set up a DSLR. You have to set up a really nice light. Like it's a lot of work to set that up. But with the salsa, it's very easy to anyone can kind of set it up. It's very lightweight. And I love the user-friendly aspect of it, where you just don't even. It's nice to have an attendant, but you don't have to have one because it'll walk you through everything you need to do. And then the instant delivery, like digitally, people can get it texted or emailed or airdropped or QR coded to their phone.
and being able to control, like, at my weddings, I'm DJing, but I can look and say, okay, everything's looking good, or some ding dong has moved it.
Yeah, it's out of focus.
Yeah, so then it's like I can tell, like, assistant wise, like, hey, go over there and fix that. Somebody moved it or did whatever. And then like for the Running Vines one, somebody actually sent an email saying like, hey, we can't download our picture. So it was like, hey, I got this email. I'm like, just send the picture of circle the download button and send it back. So then the person was like, oh okay.
Arrow.
Yeah, right there.
Click here.
Download. So to be able to manage some of that stuff, from the comfort of your home when there's an event going on is pretty cool. The salsa stuff, like, I did some research and I was out in Vegas for Wedding MBA last year, and so they had every photo booth business or company out there, and still I don't think anybody touches salsa. It's expensive.
Yeah,
they're more expensive, I think, than everybody else, and then software is a little bit more expensive. But then
clean and small and
get
portable.
what you pay for.
Have you seen the new one, the Salsa 2? The
Yes.
battery powered one?
Yes. So I almost ordered those for this. And the whole thing that I didn't, their actual sales team talked me out of ordering the 2s because they wanted to know, did I intend on having these attended or not? Mm-hmm. And I was like, my intention is probably not. And they said, well, then if somebody knows what they're doing, they can actually open it up and mess with it, because on the roaming end, you can open it up because that's where the battery's got to go. And I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah,
so,
not good.
So you don't want to get it if it's
Yeah.
going to be
Makes sense.
unattended.
correct.
to use
So
that
we went
specific.
with the salsa 1, and we may, next year grab a salsa 2 if there's a reason for it.
Yeah.
I like the battery option.
Mhm.
There's some times like I just booked a wedding in Chicago, and we're operating on 3 floors.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that'll be nice to.
cocktail is going to be upstairs. We'll put the booth up there. Having the
Yeah.
battery option.
Just move it up
yeah.
and down. Yeah.
So I have an external battery
Mhm.
that will run it. So that my intention is that day, we'll set it up in cocktail, run it off battery. Then when it comes to reception, bring it down. And they're still, it's very, very light, very movable on the digital ones. On the printing one, like wherever it's set up, that's where it stays.
Yeah, that's where it's
Stays
going.
grounded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's more
For
setup,
sure.
more tear down, more
Yeah,
things
there's
that
way more
need to
involved
be attended to.
with the printing end.
Is it all in that same unit then? Like that
Same,
camera
it's
is
the
built
same
in?
salsa style,
Okay.
just a little bit bigger head because it is the DSLR camera.
Oh, gotcha.
But then it
There's a-
also has the printing. They call it the chips. So
Gotcha.
it's the printing end. And then like I have a friend that is a photographer, and he's like, I would highly recommend running an exterior light with these. And so we'll run exterior lights with them too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With the salsa, I don't think there's a reason to.
Yeah, it has a good flash on it.
Yeah.
Like they're a very solid piece of equipment.
Yeah.
We're not
like-
sponsored either. I mean, this is all a free
Oh,
ad.
I'd love
here.
that. If it was.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Sponsor
I would
us.
love
It'd be nice to get some more.
It would have been maybe a little bit cheaper bill than what it was to just get more ordered.
For sure.
I've had a few times where they're taking inappropriate photos. Have you guys experienced that before? How do you handle that as a business?
Few. I've went through and just deleted them.
Mm-hmm.
That way they're not, because it's still operating under our branding, and I don't want that out there with our
Yeah.
names on.
Yeah.
It's so far, and I'm sure it'll change. So far, it's just been bare butts.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
I guess that's good.
just bare butts, and the one I actually caught, and I kind of glanced and I was like, what in the hell? He was actually standing on a chair, so he had his entire butt, in frame.
I had to make sure it was centered.
Yeah. And
That
I
is so
I walked
funny.
up and I was like, hey, like
Ridiculous.
probably not appropriate
Yeah.
in public, so
Yeah.
could you not do that anymore? Oh yeah, sorry. It was probably about 10 drinks in, so it seemed like a good idea.
I've had a few where couples reached out the next day and said, "Oh, can you delete this?" And I look it up, and it's a bridesmaid got crazy or somebody. It's always you would expect guys, but it's always women. It's
Yeah.
never men, at least in my experience.
I haven't had, of course we've been doing photo booths now for a while, just wedding wise. I haven't had anybody reach out, but I would imagine that may change.
Yeah, that was like first thing in the morning. Oh, yeah, we can delete that.
Sorry. Yeah.
Because we do an online gallery share where we'll share, basically like,
Same.
I did that on purpose. One, so you can kind of see and you can download your friend's photos. But I also mean it to be where we're avoiding that kind of stuff. It's not, they don't think it's private. They know it's not private.
Yeah.
So they're probably not going to be lewd or obscene in the photos. But that has not stopped anyone.
No.
Yeah.
But we did a corporate gig where a person took a photo and then saw that we had the gallery, and she's like, "Can you turn that off? I don't want to have the gallery shared with the whole, the entire the entire company.
Yeah.
That is attending the party. So I was like, "Oh yeah, we could turn that off."
Yeah, the school events that we've done, I always explain like, hey, we have this option, and so the admin normally is like, yeah, just
Yeah.
give us the code,
Especially when there's kids. Yeah, privacy
and
is
then
important.
they can go through and make sure anything's okay, and do whatever they want with them. But wedding wise, like if you take a bad picture, that's your own fault.
Yeah,
It is.
yeah. Well, you can retake
Exactly.
them too, right?
Yeah.
You can.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you submit it to be, that's good. Some people want to. It seems like.
And we like to send them to the couple that night too, like right at the end of a gig.
As
just
part of
like,
the teardown, we just send them in.
Just email it right to them, so when they're looking at their hotel at the end of the night, they can just scroll through all the pictures that were taken. So I always think that helps, but I'm sure if they were to see something like that, we'd hear about it that next morning.
That's when it's happening. I wasn't scrolling. No, I was DJing, so I wasn't.
I was
finally-
DJing the whole time.
I wasn't attuned to that. So,
I wasn't on gallery police.
I think the photo booth is a really important aspect of weddings because it, photography of course captures what happened. Videography captures what happened. A photo booth is kind of a fun way that the guests can like have, candid way to share memories and share moments and have fun. And I've always said it like, it's a really fun thing that your guests can do when they're not dancing. And so to me, it's a very important aspect of the entertainment of the party. Do you guys agree? I mean, I kind of...
Oh, for sure. I think because everyone says their wedding day is the most important day of their life, and making sure that they're having a good time, but also your guests, that's a huge part of a wedding as well. So making sure that the guests also have something that they can do while something else is going on is really important. And for like average weddings, around 150 people, and most of ours, by the end of the night, there may be 200 to 300 captures. Mm-hmm. So it's definitely being used, and it's a really good way for guests to have a good time when they're not dancing or when they're in between getting a drink or whatever it is. It's a good thing to have just so that they can, again, capture the moment of that day.
I love that. If somebody's looking for a photo booth for their wedding or you guys do more than just weddings, right? You do other. That's right. The Roaring 20s party was a different. What would be a good way to get in contact with Sweet Lenz?
So I always recommend visiting our website, and because when you first go on it, it just has a check availability button right at the top, so it's really easy to click that, and it'll take you to the inquiry form, and you can fill it out. Even if you're not 100% sure on what you want, it just gets you in contact with us so we can give you more information of what you may or may not be looking for. So I always just suggest going to sweetlenz.com and looking around and clicking that check availability button.
And that's LENZ?
Yes, LENZ.
LENZ. And are you on social media at all?
Yes, so we have an Instagram, that's just sweet.lenz, and then our Facebook is Sweet Lenz Photo Booth Company. And so, yeah, we have both of those as well as our website.
Awesome.
And packages and actually pricing is listed on there. And
even better.
So like that's, doing market analysis stuff, which was, a big thing that we did prior to see, where we're at, what price points are, because we don't want to undercut and be, that guy. And we also don't want to be so overpriced. So we wanted to be pretty much right in the middle, and that's basically where we did pricing wise. About half the companies list pricing and half don't. And, on the DJ end, there's a lot more involved with listing pricing because there's a lot more things that are being done. Yeah. So, like, on Arrested Sounds, their packages stuff is listed but no pricing. But I think that on photo booths, like, everything's pretty upfront. Like, this is what it is. Yeah. Obviously, with the sales end, those calls take substantially less than when I'm doing consultations for weddings or even for birthday parties because there's way more questions. We've kind of went with a theory of we're just going to list everything out there, and it's it's almost as far as inquiry wise, high 90s when somebody puts inquiry in that we book the actual event. So
nice.
It's kind of helped. It's kind of helped, take some of the tire kicking away.
Yeah.
Sure.
Or just, wasteful inquiries.
Back and forth.
Yeah. Because, I'm sure you guys are we're in that prime season right now of, dealing with. I think I'm on the wedding end. I'm currently dealing with like 45, potential prospects, and it's like. It's a lot to keep track. And, I'm finding that, the early 20s brides, like, they just wait till the last minute. And
I just got a couple inquiries for like March of this year, and I'm like, it is almost February. Well, let's get it going.
At the bridal fair last night. Now, we know Northwest Indiana, September, October, like, if you're not booked by now, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
And so I would say I had 10 brides, ask about September, October availability. Or September, October was closed probably 6 months ago. Yeah. So, of course, I recommended you guys.
I like that.
every single one. But I felt bad the very last couple that we talked to at the fair. They were walking around defeated.
Oh, no.
Like, you could see the defeat.
No.
And so the bride came up and she was like, please tell me that you have October 18th open.
Oh, no.
And I was like, I'm sorry. I'm like, we do not. I said, but I got a friend that has a much bigger company. I'm like, so give Amplified Events.
I think we are free.
I
I think we
got.
got.
I'm like, give Amplified Events a call. I'm like, they're out of Alpo.
out.
I said, they are amazing. I don't recommend anybody that doesn't. I said, everybody here is a good DJ. Amplified Events is a great DJ. So
Thank you.
give them. And so she pulled her phone out and she Googled it. She was like, these guys here? I said, yes. I'm like, okay, perfect. So hopefully she's reached out to you, but the defeat in her face,
Man.
like I think that she came there thinking, okay, we're going to take care of everything today, and she found that virtually everybody was booked. You know, on like it couldn't be just that the defeat in both of their faces couldn't have been just DJ. It had to be photographer,
everything.
like it had to be
God.
had to be everything. And so we were trying to educate all the people that we talked to yesterday for the 26s. Anybody in September and October, we were like, listen, whether you book with us or you book with somebody else, you need to, like, if once you find who you like, don't wait, because
Not anymore.
no,
Can't.
you're good. You're good. And I like to say not vendor. I like to say wedding specialist, because that's really what we are.
Mm.
Like, your good specialists are going to be booked, and you don't want to get stuck with somebody that's just available.
Yeah.
So it was I kind of felt bad for him yesterday.
For sure. That's rough.
Yes.
Especially like in 1,000 people, you
Like,
see these
surely we
people
can
just
find
hanging their head.
somebody
Yes.
this group of
Like,
people.
it was, and I don't know how many DJs were on the other side, but on the main side, I think there was only 5. So there may have been 1 or 2 more on the other side. So they clearly nobody was
The luck, yeah.
nobody was available.
I'm amazed at how many people go and they're like, yeah, we don't have a date. We don't have anything booked. And I'm like, well, when were you thinking? And they're like, oh, this spring. I'm like, oh, oh, I see.
Yeah, I mean, there were a few of those. I actually have a meeting with a bride for a mid-May of this year,
Oh, man.
and I was like, well, actually, we do have availability. Like, so if you're interested, like, I would entertain it this week, and then after that, it's just not our game to slam stuff together. So she reached out last night, and we booked a consultation today, and I think we'll take care of
Nice.
her needs.
Yeah.
But it was just like, who shows up? Your wedding's in less than 5 months.
You have nothing.
And
You have
yeah,
nothing booked.
I'm like, ooh, I'm just
Yeah.
a little over planning, I guess, on my end.
Well, I mean, it just seems like there's always going to be a big group of people who are planners, who like plan ahead, who like book the venue, start booking their vendors 18 months out. And then there's like a group that's like in the middle. But then there seems like the largest group is like in 6 months or less, we're getting married. And
We'll figure it out.
yeah, well, hopefully,
We'll throw it together.
Hopefully we can find someone.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it goes back to, like, do you want to get just
Who's left over.
available?
Yeah.
Even like we walked around and talked to some of the other photo booth people that were there, and you could tell the companies that were companies, and then you could tell the ones that just had
Side hustle hobby.
yeah, and it was a very clear, very evident, and anybody that was walking around could tell the difference.
Yeah.
And if you want an actual legitimate company, you like, as soon as you find a company that you like, whatever it is, you need to book them. Otherwise, you're going to get the side hustle that may or may not show up, may or may not have the right equipment, may or may not break down while you're like, anything's
Not
possible.
reliable. Yeah.
Anything's possible when it's something where somebody is not fully vested in what it is.
Well, they're not running it like a real company. I mean, they're not. It's just a fun side. It's like buying like a something used off Facebook. It might be great quality. It might be terrible. But that's the risk you're taking as is condition.
Yeah.
And that's how these hobbyist wedding vendors, DJs are. Is just like, yeah, he might be great. And it's just, he just wants to do this to make a little extra cash, but he's not really running it like a business. So you're getting a good price.
Yeah, that's why it's a fraction of the cost.
Yeah.
And, I mean,
However,
a huge example is you came in and saved a day. Was it June or July of this last year?
Oh
where
yeah, that
another
guy.
company, we won't name who that was,
That was crazy.
but canceled
Day of, morning of.
morning of, and when you have a hobbyist, they're going to do stuff like that. And luckily, there was a professional company that was available. Otherwise, they would have been in big trouble.
Yeah. Well, and that's that. The more I learn about that story, the crazier it gets. So I won't get too much into that.
Yeah,
That is
I'm with
so
you.
wild. And I kind of agree too. That not to the point you made early on about listing pricing on your website versus not, and DJ versus photo booth. I mean, a lot of people, they have a specific budget in mind for a photo booth, and so it's helpful. Like you said, there's not. When I do a DJ quote, it is kind of custom. It is each quote. It's like, well, what do you want? How much time? Where are we going to be? Are you multiple locations? Like, do you need this service for your wedding? Do you need this other service? Like, sometimes there's not one size fits all package. That it is like it is with more like photo booth, where it's like we know we want this type of booth and we want to add on this other feature thing that you guys do. But it's more simple that way. Will you? So you'll do the booking and then you'll do the events as well.
Yeah.
I know with Joe, he has like a certain number of gigs
Yeah.
that he wants to do, and then he like really tries not to go over that.
Yeah.
But he always goes over it. Are you going to do something similar with Sweet Lenz? Or are you trying to just do a certain number of gigs and then not do more, or you'll just if I'm available, I'll do it? And
Yeah, I really am a believer in not limiting yourself. So I really think as long as I'm available, I am more than happy to do it, because especially since I'm starting out just recently, I really want to get out there and do as many as I can.
Yeah. If and when do you think you'll expand and hire someone to do photo booth with you or for you?
Definitely in the future. Probably not right now since I'm, again, just starting out, but definitely in the future I'll probably hire a few people to help me out.
How many would you do a day? Would you only do one a day since there's booths you could drop off? Or would you potentially, like, even though it's just you, would you drop off 3 booths if you booked 3 weddings on the same day? Is that something you would do?
I mean, as long as we have the equipment available, I would have no problem doing multiple
I think that's really
events.
great about being able to leave, like setting it up and then leave. I think that is such a good business model.
Not making money if it's not.
That's incredible. Better than just sitting.
It's collecting dust.
Yeah, seriously.
It's
Nice.
It's not going to make
Love
that
that.
goal.
Well, yeah, I don't have too much else. Anything we haven't covered.
Okay.
Guys, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Appreciate it.